Hi ladies. All right, I have another technique to show off today. First, let me prep these lips so I don't forget. I am going to use my regular 3D makeup, but I'm going to use a different kind of combination of tools today. I'm going to use my smudge brush to apply. I'll do like a Cheetah HAC with the dots all over my face, but instead of using my fingertips, I'm going to use the smudge brush, and I'll tell you why in a second. And then to blend, I am going to use my damp Perfector Sponge, okay? So let's talk about smudge brush first. I'm going to apply it like a Cheetah HAC, okay, with the dots all over, so that way we know where everything should be placed, where we're filling in the gaps. But I really like using the smudge brush to apply it versus my finger. Reason being, my finger, I feel like a lot of times we kind of get those peaks of makeup on our finger. We have natural oils. Our fingertips are sometimes warm depending on where you live, right? So it's gonna pull in more cream makeup. So a lot of times when women do the Cheetah HAC, they like the placement, but sometimes they get too much makeup on their face. So here comes the smudge brush. The smudge brush is super dense, okay? So what it'll do is it's only gonna pick up the makeup that it needs. That way you get the right amount on your face, especially if we're doing the dots all over. So I'm gonna show you how you can use this to apply it. Okay, and I'll even drop in some of the graphics so you have a reminder of where things go. And then instead of using a brush today, we are gonna use our damp Perfector Sponge to blend. So let's get going right away. There's two ends here. It really doesn't matter which end that you wanna do for applying it. In all honesty, the flatter of the two is typically what I will use for my contour because I can get a little bit of a fuller line there, and then more the pointier end I will use for everything else. But really, it doesn't really make a big difference. I'd say it's even personal preference, but a lot of times you can't tell anyways. So I am going to start off with my camo color. For me, this happens to be mango because of my skin tone. So not only can I cover up some of these blue under eyes, but I'm also gonna be able to cover up some freckling that I have going on and any other spots on my face that are distractions. So that's why I like to come in with my darker color, and we're just gonna like spot treat, okay? So my nose, I get a lot of freckling. I might be okay in this area today. Who knows what tomorrow may hold, right? Okay, so I'm just spot treating, and I've got one little guy right here. So I'll just fill in the rest around my nose. All right, now I'm gonna come into my brightening highlight color. And I am going to start applying some little dots of color in the inner corner of my eye, and then outside corner leading up. And I pulled my hair back in a ponytail so it's out of the way already. Now I can take a couple dots. I always like to brighten down the center of my face, but caveat, I put some color corrector. I put some camo in this area. So for me, I don't want to brighten. For you, that may be different. So you can always take that brightener all the way down. I will add a little bit into kind of that Cupid's bow area and down my chin, okay? So you can add brightener all the way down. For me, I don't, because I have a lot of things that I'm kind of covering up. So if you have redness in your nose or maybe a lot of freckling, you probably don't want to bring a brightener down your nose, but you can still brighten the rest of your face. All right, I'm gonna flip over. I like coming into my contour next because then I know how to fill in the gap. So I'm flipping my brush over to that a little bit more flatter side and find the tip of your ear where that skin meets your face. And I'm just going to pull that contour on down, okay? And now you get to decide how much you want. Maybe you wanna come in with a second pass. You could do dots if you wanted. For me, I just like hugging that cheekbone, and I'm letting the brush kind of help find where that cheekbone is. But again, you could come in and you could place dots too, okay? Either one works. I'm gonna dip back into my contour, and we are going to put all these beautiful little dots right up by my hairline of my contour. Notice how I'm using the outside of my eye. I'm using the outside of my eye to stop where my contour comes in and to stop where my contour goes out. I want to provide brightness in this area because some of my temples are sinking in. So I like to create that brightness with my brightening highlight, and it's gonna provide an overall lift. The other reason why I like this brush is now I can come in and I'm just going to put a little bit of that contour down the sides of my nose. I want to give the illusion of a longer, little bit thinner nose. Okay, so I'm just coming in and I'm just leaving that centerpiece open. And then for me, I kind of have a pudgy circular nose, so I'm going to add a little bit of shadowing underneath here. So it's just going to give the illusion of a longer, slender nose. Take a little bit of this contour. We're going to place everything right away so we don't have to come back. And then as far as contour around our jaw, we can just start making those dots right along our jawline here. Just making sure that we don't come up and over, because that'll create that 5 o'clock shadow, okay? And then we'll blend it all up. Flip back over, now I'm gonna come into my mane, and this is where you kind of get to go crazy and just start putting those dots all over, filling in the gaps. Now, it's hard to see this color, but as I always say, that's the point. This is your main color, so it should be matching your skin tone if I am doing my job correctly, okay? So we're just going to dot this all over. That's where the whole cheetah comes into play. Dot right above here. And then for me, I do want to bring a little bit of brightness. So I'm just using my main color because then I am not bringing too much, but yet I'm able to fill in that gap. And we'll do a couple dots here, kind of use up what is on my brush, and then we're good to go, okay? You could also come in if you want to add some of your bronzer right away, your lip and cheek. I'm going to wait because I want to show you how you can use your Perfector Sponge to also do that, okay? So now we're going to blend it all in. So the beautiful thing with using the Smudge Brush, it's all applied. This cream makeup is acclimating as we speak, right? It's warming up. It's going to make it super easy to blend. So now my Perfector Sponge, okay? This is what it comes in. This is it, all nice and soft because I ran it under some water, squeezed it out really good so it's nice and damp. So just like using a regular brush, I am going to start blending in my highlight colors first, and then I usually save my brightening color and my contour for the end. So let's just start blending. So the reason why, I know a lot of women ask, why do we dampen our Perfector Sponge? Number one, it's softer. So when we're putting it onto our skin, it's just softer. It's bigger, so that way you have kind of more square footage. And I'm even gonna make sure that I pull this down. And because it's damp, it's not gonna absorb as much makeup. So it'll keep taking away any excess, like as I come into some of these fine lines and wrinkles as I'm blending. But because it's damp, it's not going to absorb and start sucking in our makeup that we want to have on our face. The other nice thing about the Perfector is this nice little tip. It really gets into your under eye area. So if you are using a mirror like I am here, try to look upward so you can really get that brightening color and any of that camel color, whatever you use under your eye, to get that beautiful color coverage up tight, okay? So again, I love being able to use the tip because then it really gets into that corner, and then looking up, getting underneath that eye. Okay, now I can come in and start blending. So the same way that I would use my brush, I like to kind of stamp in. If you wanted to, you could use a big end on the side, but I'm going to show you how you can use that. And then we're just doing these little flicks just like you would with a brush. But I'm going to show you how you can use that big end here to apply your bronzer and lip and cheek. Okay, so it's going to provide that beautiful natural finish. Okay, so see, you're using it just like you would your brush. We're gonna stamp, blend that in, and then we're just gonna take it right on back into our hairline. Just like so. And now let's get the side of the nose. Again, I like to use that tip so that way I'm kind of blending here and I'm kind of pulling it down, and then I will blend it down the side of my nose. Okay, so that way I'm not losing any of that contour that I placed. Okay, now feel free. If there's a spot, let's say I want to add a little bit more brightness down the center of my nose, you can come back in with your Perfector sponge and still pick up a little bit more. Okay, notice how I can just do that? Or let's say, oh, I want to add a little bit more brightness to my under eye. Maybe you didn't get enough in. You can come back in and just press a little bit more underneath, okay? And that's a beautiful part about having this small little tip, is you can get into those crevices ever so nicely. Okay, there you go. I think we are all blended. Now I'm gonna flip on over to kind of the big round, the butt part. Let's just come in with Bella bronzer here. Okay, so I'm gonna come in with my Bella and I'm just going to dab right on to the butt part. I don't know why I like to call it that. Okay, and we're just gonna apply it the same way that we would with the brush. So I'm just making that crescent moon shape around my eye, and then we're just gonna start blending it in to the rest of my highlight colors, adding a little bit of warmth. You can even pull it down center of your face, depending on what's going on with your neck, if you want to take any of that excess. And then let's come in. We'll do a little bit of desert since it's here. Okay, so you're still being able to get a lot of that pigment and that color, but it just blends a little bit differently, and sometimes for some women, a little bit easier. Now, the other beautiful thing with using the Perfector sponge is if you have maturing skin. Some women really like using the Perfector because you're kind of taking out extra steps, right? When we use our Perfector sponge, we use it to remove any excess makeup, especially around our eyes, maybe smile lines, you name it. So it's kind of doing everything all in one. You know it, we gotta brush out those brows still. And we'll just add a little bit of Desert Sunset on my lips right here. And then we are set, okay? So if you wanted to, if you are one that likes to use a little bit of vanilla dust, you can still come in with your Perfector sponge into your vanilla dust too. So all you do is just add a little bit of that translucent powder, and you can apply that same way that you would your brush, okay? Same thing, just make sure that you get it nice and damp first. Now when I'm done, I'm gonna go run it under some water again, so that way I can clean it up and let it sit out. That way it's nice and dry for the next time. So we use a smudge brush to apply the Cheetah HAC and the Perfector to blend. And of course the line brush to brush out our brows. Let me know what you ladies think, if you have tried it before, or maybe you're like, this is a new one, this is something that I have to try. But otherwise, grab that Perfector sponge. It's great for doing your makeup, finishing your makeup, and everything in between. All right, have a wonderful day, and we'll talk to you ladies soon.